Harpe. The harp was forged to cut what should not be cuttable, including the flesh of a god. Gaia brought it from a world that existed before the universe had finished writing its own rules. Before the law, gods cannot be wounded by lesser things, was fully in place. The harp already existed. Adamantine, the only material older than divine protection itself. Cronus used it against Uranus, not in battle, in ambush. A curved blade built for a single upward strike from below. Uranus descended to lie with Gaia. Cronus was waiting. One cut. The blood of Uranus fell into the sea and became Aphrodite. The severed flesh became the giants. The harp passed to Perseus. He used it to take the head of Medusa, the only being whose gaze killed anything living. The blade did not kill her because it was sharp. It killed her because Medusa had no defense against something that operated outside the rules she was protected by. That is the mechanism. The harp does not bypass armor. It bypasses ontological protection. It cuts what nothing else is allowed to reach. If the harp broke divine protection from the outside, the next weapon did something worse. It made survival impossible from within. Gáe Bolg. The Gáe Bolg does not kill on entry. It kills when the body tries to survive it. Bolg mac Buain forged it from the bones of a primordial sea monster. The tip carried a single barb. But the moment it entered flesh, that barb opened into 30, distributed through joints, organs, and tissue. The only way to remove the spear was to cut the victim completely open. It was not thrown by hand. It was kicked from between the toes. A low strike, precise, impossible to block with a shield. Cuchulainn received it from Scatach as her final gift after years of training. She did not hand it over with pride. She handed it over as a warning. The defining moment was the duel against Ferdiad, his brother in training. 3 days of combat. Ferdiad was winning. On the 4th, Cuchulainn used the Gáe Bolg. Ferdiad said only, "You have killed me now." Not soon, now. Because with the Gáe Bolg inside the body, death is not a matter of time. It is a matter of physics. That weapon made survival structurally impossible. The next one did not need to win through damage at all. Mjölnir. Mjölnir was not a hammer that controlled thunder. It was thunder with permission to have a shape. The dwarves Brokr and Sindri forged it as part of a wager against Loki. The handle came out short because Loki, transformed into a fly, bit Brokr during the forging. That manufacturing defect is the only limitation Mjölnir has ever had. The mechanism, it returns to Thor's hand regardless of distance or obstacle. It cannot be lifted by anyone Thor has not authorized, not because of physical weight, but because the hammer simply will not move. When it strikes, it carries the full force of the storm with it. At Ragnarok, Thor will use Mjölnir to kill the world serpent. 9 steps later, he will die from its venom. Mjölnir will survive. It will pass to Thor's sons, one of the few things that crosses the end of the world intact. A hammer with a short handle that outlives the apocalypse. Some weapons return to their owner. The next one made sure the enemy could never lie about what happened. Fragarach. Fragarach has one rule. No one can lie or move while it is at their throat. Manannán mac Lir brought it from the realm of the Irish gods. It passed to Lugh, then to Cuchulainn. Its name in Old Irish means the answerer, because it forces an answer. Any answer. The blade cut through any armor as though it did not exist. But that is not the impossible mechanism. The mechanism is this. When Fragarach was placed at someone's throat, that person became physically incapable of producing a lie. Not persuaded to tell the truth, structurally unable to do otherwise. The weapon did not convince. It temporarily rewrote the rules of language. In some traditions, it also commanded the wind. Whoever carried it could split any wind or call complete stillness across open water. Fragarach was not a weapon of damage. It was a weapon of compulsory truth. That made it more dangerous than anything that only killed. Some weapons forced truth. The next one did not need to force anything. It simply could not be lifted by the wrong hands. Vajra. The Vajra was forged from a living being, specifically the spine of the sage Dadichi. who offered his own body so the weapon could exist. Indra needed something capable of killing Vritra, a cosmic serpent that had blocked all the waters of the world. No existing weapon could penetrate Vritra's scales. The sage Dadichi told Indra to wait. He entered deep meditation. He abandoned his body. The gods used his bones to forge the Vajra. The result? An unbreakable weapon that conducted pure divine force. When Indra hurled the Vajra at Vritra, the scales did not matter. The weapon was not sharper than others. It was made from absolute devotion. The universe cannot resist that. The Vajra became the symbol of absolute power across Hinduism and Buddhism. Simultaneously, the diamond, which cannot be broken, and the lightning bolt, which cannot be stopped. A single object cannot be both. The Vajra is. Some weapons were made from sacrifice. The next one was not made at all. It was already thinking before anyone picked it up. Sharur. Sharur is a mace that thinks. Literally. In Sumerian mythology, it belonged to Ninurta, god of war and storms. Most weapons receive orders. Sharur gave them. It could fly independently of its owner, survey a battlefield, assess the enemy, and return with a report. When Ninurta went to face Asag, a demon of disease so powerful that the stones of the battlefield fought on its side, Sharur flew ahead alone. It observed. It returned. It told Ninurta the battle was lost as currently planned. It suggested a different strategy. Ninurta followed the advice of his own weapon. He won. This is not enchanted weapon magic. It is something different entirely. A weapon with agency, with judgment, with the capacity to disagree with its owner and be right. Sharur was not an extension of Ninurta. It was his partner. No other weapon in any mythology does this. Some weapons thought for themselves. The next one aimed at things that should have been impossible targets. Ho-Yi's bow. Ho-Yi used this bow to erase suns from the sky, and the reason he did not erase all of them says more about the weapon than any shot it ever fired. In the beginning of the Chinese world, 10 suns appeared in the sky simultaneously. Together, they were burning the earth, drying the rivers, killing the harvests. The celestial emperor asked Ho-Yi, his divine archer, to frighten them back into place. Ho-Yi climbed the highest mountain, looked at the 10 suns, and began to shoot. Each arrow extinguished one. Not frightened, not moved, extinguished. The suns were divine, and the bow unmade them like ordinary targets. Ho-Yi brought down 9. He raised the 10th arrow. Then he stopped. One sun still needed to exist. 9 divine targets, 9 shots, 9 gone. That is the mechanism. A bow that treats divinity as a target. No ritual, no cost, just aim and string. Some weapons destroyed without limit. The last one had a limit built in, and that limit was the only thing that kept it from ending everything. Pashupatastra. The Pashupatastra cannot be deactivated after it is launched, by anyone, including Shiva himself. It is Shiva's personal weapon, the god of destruction. Arjuna received it after years of extreme penance in the Himalayas. Shiva appeared disguised as a hunter, fought Arjuna, defeated him completely, and only then revealed his identity and surrendered the weapon as a reward for courage and persistence. The mechanism. Activated by mantra, by gaze, or by thought alone. It requires no physical contact to destroy. When released, it generates a field of destruction that does not discriminate. Enemies, allies, the innocent, the battlefield itself. It contaminates the ground where it lands. It can exterminate an entire species. Krishna forbade Arjuna from using it during the Kurukshetra war, not because he did not have it, because using it would end the war and the world together. Arjuna carried it through the most important war in Indian mythology and never fired it once. That is the definition of a weapon that should not exist. Not because it is impossible to forge, but because it is impossible to use responsibly.